So I thought I would just present a little bit of myself, and then the Icelandic Pirate Party, and then maybe we can talk about what we have in common. So I will start now. I am Dóra. I come from Iceland. I grew up in the safe surroundings of Elliðaárdalur in Reykjavík. Here I am with my cat Branda. She became 19 years old and she died when I was backpacking in South America because she was sick and my mother took her to the vet because she didn't want me to have the responsibility. There she is, small and cute. Aww. Yeah, I got this once for my birthday. It was the greatest moment of my life so far. Yeah. Where's the picture? Oh my god, you're missing out. Oh my god, you're missing out.
It's not. What?
Oh, there. Okay, let's go. You're not seeing Elliðaárdalur. I can describe it. It's a lot of trees, trees and elves, basically. So I grew up amongst trees and elves because, as you know, there's a lot of elves in Iceland. They live in stones and they really affect us. It's really difficult and dangerous to move these stones, so we sometimes build the roads around them instead of moving them because it's very dangerous and people get hurt or even die. So yeah, that's Iceland for you. So eager to learn more about the world. I moved to Norway to study philosophy and international studies, and the great country of Norway. Yeah, you love Norway, right? Yes? Yes? Okay, no. Ooh, I just feel the tension. Okay, and I also lived in Germany, and now I'm living in Belgium, in Brussels, and I am doing a traineeship for the Pirate MEP member of the European Parliament, Julia Reda from Germany. And that is very nice, so I'm being around. I wanted to show you Julia, but maybe you've seen her, maybe you met her even. Yeah, many of you, that's good, she's very nice. Very cool. Big inspiration, yeah. And sorry? Mob? No, I thought the mob might have a comment. Okay, so why am I a pirate? Well, after moving abroad from Iceland, I started to see the big democracy and corruption problems we had in Iceland from a fresh perspective. I didn't see it before. And it's especially like... we have these problems, especially in comparison with the other Nordic countries, and of course I was living in Norway for a long period of time, and there's many kind of normal reasons for this. Of course, Iceland's inhabitants are quite few, so everybody knows everyone, kind of, which makes this often seem very natural. So when you gain a position or get a job because of somebody you know, this kind of feels natural when this is very common. And I started to see this as a problem because, well, of obvious reasons, this undermines democracy and the right of everyone to be equal and have the same opportunities in the country. And but this is something that is, in a sense, really seen as something natural in Iceland, or it's starting to change. But what is corruption? Things and behaviors that are corruption is something that many people just see as not problematic at all, and that's kind of the problems that we are always facing. And it's a cultural change that we need to change this, and it's gonna take some time. But yeah, this is problematic. It undermines our democratic institutions. It shatters the principle of everyone being equal under the law. And what I think we need in Iceland is better governance to strengthen the democracy and the democratic citizen. And the democratic citizen has to be like understanding the democratic principles, has to be updated, have a lot of information to be able to take informed decisions, basically, when they're voting, when they're trying to influence the politics in any sense. And this is something, so kind of democracy became a big value for me while living in Norway. And the only party in Iceland that actually focused on democracy and this democratic reform that we really need is the Pirate Party. So this is why I joined the Pirate Party, not because I was a computer nerd, because I don't know that much about computers, I'm sorry. I know it's kind of lame in this setting. But yeah, so here we are. Okay, we have the polling here for the Icelandic Pirate Party and all parties in Iceland over a period of some years, 2013 until, well, 2017. So you can see the black line there, that's the Pirate Party. And the Pirate Party in Iceland was founded in 2012, and the Young Pirates of Iceland was founded in 2013. And I'm now the leader of the Young Pirates of Iceland. In the general elections in 2013, we got 5.1% and just made the threshold of 5%, getting 3 MPs in parliament. And out of 63, so that wasn't that bad really. In the city elections in 2014, we got 5.9%, so we got 1 person voted in the city council of 15, so that wasn't too bad either. But so getting into parliament was very important because that gave us a platform for the citizens of the country to actually notice us and to understand us. We were able to give speeches, we were able to influence much more, and this really gave us the opportunity to start growing the way we did. And as you can see, we started to grow quite a lot. In 2015, we grew from 5, 6, 7% up to like 30%. So, and we peaked at 35, 36, 7%. It depends who made the polling. This is 36 something in February 2016. Yeah.
I saw 42% in like April.
Somewhere it might have been 42. Okay, 36, 42, like, yeah, it depends who you ask. I just took Gallup because I find that's kind of stable. One reason for this is, of course, we had the platform, but we also had Iceland's most popular politician, Helgi Rafn Gunnarsson, and he was chosen the politician of the year of 2015. He had support and respect from all political parties in Iceland, and I think it's because he's very genuine, he's really well spoken. He's very smart, obviously, and he really breathes the pirate ideology, and he's really good at making that feel relevant to the general citizen. So he's also very charismatic, which helps. Slowly our support started to grow. Can go to the next. Oh, why aren't there pictures?
Some of them are still there.
Oh my god, that's so sad.
Like
all the pictures.
Got lost.
Yeah.
Translation.
Yeah, they got lost. I'll show you later. We can have like a cozy get together later and I'll show you all the pictures. He's handsome. He has like a ponytail. You might have seen him. I don't know. No. Okay, he's very nice. Okay, I will continue. Panama Papers. Yeah. Can you go to the link there? Or is that difficult? You can try. You can. While you do that, I'll just continue. The Panama Papers unveiled the infamously broad scope of tax avoidance and corruption in the world. Even heads of states were discovered owning firms in tax havens. And in Iceland, 3 of our ministers in government were mentioned in the Panama Papers, amongst them the Prime Minister Sigmundur Davíð Gunnlaugsson. He reportedly sold his share in Vintris to his wife in 2009 for $1, and he failed to ever declare his stake in the offshore investment company. But at this time, when the Vintris case came up in 2016, in April 2016, his wife still owned it. So he basically also still owned it, and these 2 other ministers did as well. So many people, this is him being interviewed about this. You might have seen this interview. He ran out. He was really just like, "Oh, you're tricking me into this interview." Yeah, he really acted in a bad way. It wasn't very smart of him, I guess, but it was difficult when you're really taken lying, because just before this happened, he was actually saying how important it was for people to be fair and actually like not hide money away in tax havens, and then it was just like this. So I guess that was like extremely embarrassing for him to actually go from being the person of like integrity, being like, "Oh, it's so important that we stick together," and then ending up there. So I guess that's why he kind of freaked out. But many people believe that this is the reason for us, the Pirate Party in Iceland, to grow this rapidly as we did. And I would say that is not the case, because we were peaking before this happened. It might have sustained interest in us, but we were peaking in like the month before this happened, and in the whole 2015 we were growing. So it's no kind of really direct correlation between these two, actually. So that's interesting to know for you, perhaps. So after this, after the Panama Papers, there was a lot of protests in Iceland, and the Prime Minister stepped down, and we got a new government, but it was with the same parties than before, just with new people, mostly new people. And that's something that many people were not very happy about. So we wanted new elections. We kind of wanted the new elections to happen right away. The elections were actually supposed to happen this spring now in 2017, but we demanded it happening in 2016, and we wanted it to happen in the spring of 2016. But they waited, these right parties, corrupt parties, Sjálfstæðisflokkurinn and Framsóknarflokkurinn, they didn't want to give their power away, and they were really trying to wait this off, because they're really used to the Icelanders having like a goldfish memory, and kind of just, it usually works to just wait off. But this time it didn't, so the pressure on having new elections was quite high, so we got new elections in October in 2016. But, let me see, so it was a lot of protests, and after this elections, Pirate Party got 14.5%, gaining 9.4%, and that gave us 10 seats in the parliament out of 63, which is really good, but of course it wasn't the 40% people in other parts of the country, in our world, maybe were expecting, but we were not expecting that. We were quite happy with this outcome, actually. So then what happened after the elections? Did we get a new government that changed everything? No, we didn't. Sjálfstæðisflokkurinn, the biggest party, that didn't really have to pay for their Panama scandal at all. They had 2 ministers in the Panama Papers. They continued in government. They were still the biggest party. They got 29%. So that's kind of horrible. This is Sjálfstæðisflokkurinn. They don't like the EU. They like our currency, which is kind of fucking everything up. And they have Bjarni Benediktsson. And Bjarni Benediktsson is really charming, and he can make 1,000 mistakes, and he never has to pay for it. So this is very a cultural issue. Yeah?
Are they aware of the XD?
If they're aware of the XD?
In the as an emoticon.
Well, I think that's kind of positive. If they like, that's cool, isn't it? It's like a positive. They probably are at some, but I don't think they think too much about it. But that's a good comment. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of the crazy thing about Iceland. Like, people get crazy, they want change, but nothing changes really. So that's really, really frustrating. Yes.
So what would then be the opposite position to being pro-Corona? What would you then be in favour of instead?
Me?
So if they're pro-Corona, what is the other option?
The European Union.
I see.
Kind of, and like a new currency with that. Okay, so we got a new government. We call it the Panama government. This is gonna be.
I think this is the last one that's missing.
Okay, that's good. The Panama government, that's because, we have the Panama ministers, and then we have Óttar Proppé from Ham. I don't know if that comes So, Óttar Proppé, he's an Icelandic musician with his band Ham and Dr. Spock. He's an actor and now our current health minister. He is well known for wearing this yellow glove on concerts, and he actually went to these elections demanding a change, and they had a slogan that was the slogan is about demanding change. It's like more bright future, because this party is called Bright Future, less kind of corruption or bad governance. And then he was the man to actually get this bad, corrupt party in government, and they have one person majority in the government. So it's not a lot, but he did that. So it's really strange that he's the person responsible for that in a sense. Okay, so why do the Icelandic people again and again vote for the same corrupt people? Since we're in Stockholm, I feel it's fitting to tell you about the theory I launched last autumn on my blog.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, the nation with the Stockholm syndrome. There's something about us being used to the corruption and the special interests of the few, deciding a lot about our politics, and we are afraid of new systems, and I think that people are afraid of change. I don't know, I just think it's funny since we're in Stockholm to mention that. So to the what I want to speak about a bit in the end, if you go to the next one, so why the pirates, and a bit about us and what we have in common. And the Icelanders turn on the ideology. We see democracy as a tree. It consists of branches, and if one of these branches is cut down, it risks the tree's survival. So these branches give energy to the tree, they intertwine, they work together, they make up the tree, and the tree is the democracy, as I see it. And these branches are things like transparency, civil and political rights, freedom of expression, freedom of the internet, freedom of the press, freedom of association, so civil rights, what is that? Civil rights are very intertwined with democracy, and they guarantee equal social opportunities and equal protection under the law, regardless of race, religion, or other personal characteristics. So, what is important here is that I think our view on our pirate ideology is that we are kind of working on all of these branches, or we had to go to like a broader perspective of the pirate ideology to be like a movement of the many and not just a few. But I think many pirate parties in Europe are like focusing more on the branches, but it's really important for us to actually look up and see it as a whole. It is all working together, and this is a way I think we were able in Iceland to make it feel relevant to for everybody, because it's like we want systematic change, and we want kind of a deep change of the society, which is very important in a community where we have nationalist and populist agendas coming up, waves on our shores with people like Donald Trump and Geert Wilders and these people. So we are actually really, really relevant today. We just have to kind of show people and make them understand. And so what is it's about? What is the pirate ideology about? It's about democracy. That's how I see it. And democracy means equality and justice. Like, this is really big, big things. So, and we are the only party, at least in Iceland, that are actually focusing on these really big, important matters. Not just like we're not just throwing water on the fire. We want to change it from the ground up, and that is the importance, and that is like the perspective that is important here. So I also want to end with mentioning. So the world needs us, a world with fake news and populism and racism, and we are. I want to quote the EU news agency Political. We are the evidence-based radicals, like Julia was called. So, and that's awesome. I'd be nothing else. So, thank you.